Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. All right, man, I appreciate everybody very much for stopping by. You know, it has been a very long time since I've done a Roderick Nava video, so I searched long and hard to try to find a video for you guys' viewing pleasure. So I do have a game between Pranav Anand, one of the up-and-coming youngsters from India, and Roderick Nava. And so I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Maraming salamat aking makaibigan. Post on nanonood king my video. Anybody who is coming from India or the Tamil Nadu region, I will say Mika Nandri. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. This is a chess.com match between the two of these guys. So if you guys are ready to go, man, let's take a look, see what we got for this game, son. All right, so we got the move B3, and we have the Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack. So it's a combination between two, players from way back in the day, Aaron Nimzowitsch and Bent Larsen. I know for sure, I'm not really completely sure about Bent Larsen, but Aaron Nimzowitsch was definitely kind of one of the forefathers of the hypermodern school. Basically, there's two schools of thought. There is the classical romantic style where you put pawns in the center of the board, and then there's the hypermodern that says, I don't care about all that. I'm going to try to chip away at your beautiful center with bishops. And so that is what we see Anand doing right here. We got the move C5. We got bishop to B2. We do see the move D5. Basically, Nava saying, hey, bro, if you're going to let me get the center, I'm going to try to get the biggest, hugest center I can. And that is what we see here. We do see the move E3. So this is all very typical stuff when you see the Nimzowitsch-Larsen from the white side. It pretty much is, it's almost kind of like a setup. I mean, you have very strong ideas of going bishop to B5. Especially when you see like a knight to C6, because that does influence the E5 square. And you kind of want to be able to, your main point is, preventing black from getting that ideal center. And if they ever do, you can just grab this pawn. So we do see A6 just saying, hey, bro, all of that stuff you're talking about, it ain't going on over here, bro. We do see the move F4. So one of the things, it's subtle, but one of the things you notice from the white perspective is they do have pawns that are influencing all of these dark squares. So what they're trying to do is they're trying to basically make it very, very undesirable to try to occupy any of these little areas with pawns, and so they can keep their bishop really nice and maximized. We do see knight to C6 now. Knight goes to F3. We got D4, and they are working, black is working to try to shut down this bishop right here because it is a very strong, annoying bishop. We got bishop going to E2. We got the move G6. And then we do have the novelty, which is E4. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I'm not sure if this is a mouse slip. Maybe he was trying to go pawn takes D4, which kind of would make maybe a little bit more sense in this situation. But one of the things that E4 does, if it was intentional or if it's not, is it does kind of somewhat undefend this F4 point. And you definitely will see Roderick take advantage of that coming up. Bishop H6 was an immediate option as well. But we do see bishop G7 contesting that dark bishop for white. We got knight to A3. Knight goes to F6. And then we do see E5. And then immediately we see knight to D5. Even if it wasn't for F4, knight to D5 is a nice solid move because now you got an octopus in the center of the board. And that's absolutely what you want. But it does come with the added benefit of hitting this F4 point that now needs to be defended by white. So we do see the move G3. We got B5. I mean, you want to get some space somewhere, man. So that's definitely one of the best areas to get space for black is on the queen side. We got castles by white. Bishop goes to B7. We got the move C4. Pawn takes. We got pawn taking. And then we actually get into a very interesting position. We got knight to E3, which immediately from just looking at it, it does seem like it forks your pieces. But white does have this nice intermezzo. Zweichen's the check. With queen to D8 with check, and then the rook takes, and then we do escape that threat with rook going over to E1. We got B4, and this is actually a really nice move because if white does not play exactly, and we're basically in a situation as white where you only have moves. Like you basically have to find like a specific move like multiple times in a row. We got pawn taking B4, and then we do have the very crucial bishop to C1. You have to counterattack this knight because the problem is if you just move the knight somewhere, like, I mean, even up here or like whatever you do, you're going to be looking at this fork right here, and that's absolutely not where you want to be. You don't want to be giving up a rook for nothing. And so this is the perfect counterattack. And it is in black's best interest to actually move this knight somewhere and not go into this right here and then get into this. Because if you take here, you are basically just kind of like abandoning the protection of this pawn. It is going to drop at some point, and you have just helped white basically increase the scope of their own bishop. And they've held both of their bishops. So it is a lot better the way that Nava decided he wanted to try to go about it this way, moving the knight back to d5. And then after we see the knight saving itself, we do see the immediate knight to c3. And it is actually beneficial for white to try to move this bishop out of the way to try to maintain both of these bishops, but we do not see him do that. He opts to just develop, you know, instead, and then we do see knight taking e2 and checking and rook taking e2. And once black can try to get this game open, then they're going to basically have more of an advantage with these two bishops over the bishop and the knight. So that is just kind of little subtle things that you kind of see transpiring through the game. We do see castles by black. We got rook a to e1. We got rook down to d3. You have to penetrate somewhere. You can't really penetrate like, you know, where you would like to on the 7th rank. But I mean, you know, you got to try to get in there somewhere. We do see king going over to f2. That knight is a little bit loose. We do see rook f to d8. We got knight up to g5. We're trying to provoke some kind of weaknesses in the black's position. We do see knight going down to d4. And this knight is absolutely too strong where it's sitting. This is kind of been white's pain the entire day. Black managing to just kind of put their knight in really good spots. And we cannot allow that to just stand. So we got bishop taking d4 and then rook 8 taking d4. We got h4. We do see f6, pawn takes, bishop takes, and then we do see knight to e5. And basically, I mean, if black decides to capture here, they would be giving up one of their bishops. So that is what white would want. And you allow, you know, white to get really strong in the center. If they go ahead and do this right here, then they are going to be taken with the pawn. And you just have a complete octopus knight in the center of the board. So, you know, you kind of put black in a little bit of like a tight spot. So we do see rook going over to c3. And then we actually see knight to g4. But as you guys can see, this completely blunders the game in its entirety. So if you want to pause the video and not only guess the move that needs to be played here, absolutely, by black, but really kind of the follow-up as well. Like, you know, go ahead and pause the video and see if you could do that. Okay, so, you know, what you should notice as black is that you are kind of like running fresh out of moves. You don't really have the ability to move here. You do have a check on f3, if not for this knight right here. So what do? We remove the defender. So we are going to be doing bishop takes, and then it doesn't really matter how you take back. You got this situation here. And this is absolutely, if you found bishop takes g5, absolutely correct. In normal situations, you don't just want to give up your bishop pair, but you do have a very, very nice follow-up in this specific situation. Like I said, rook goes to f3 with check, and you really don't have a lot of good spaces to go to. It doesn't really matter what you do. If you go to king to g2 or you go king to g1, you're going to be losing this knight in two completely different ways. What we actually see Anand do in this position is go down to g1. Seems a little bit safer, but it's not. Rook takes, and then the king goes up, and then we see rook taking g4. But just to show you the other variation, if you did decide that you wanted to go this way, I mean, you would be losing because of this. And, I mean, wherever you do with your king, you're going to be dropping your knight next move. So it basically just kind of comes down to how do you want to give your knight away. And so going, you know, this way is actually probably a little bit better, but I mean, it's really hard to calculate two like horrible positions. You're just like, I don't want either one of them. Can I have an option C? But we don't see that. Like I said, we do see this. And I mean, Anand is probably thinking like maybe Roderick will fall asleep. Maybe he'll be like, hey man, I'm just, you know, I'm gonna forget to win. I'm gonna just take a nap. But he's not gonna do that, bro. You know, Malakas see Roderick Nava in this one. So we do see the move rook to e3. Now, the thing that actually impresses me about the position is the fact that Anand resists for as long as he does. Because the game is, I mean, it's like another 30 moves on me. So I'm going to run through them real quick. We got rook up to e3. We got rook check. We got king up to h3. We got rook snagging a pawn. Rook takes e7. We do see rook to d3 with check. Rook goes to e3. Rook 1 to e3 to block. We do see rook going to f3. We got rook taking, bishop taking. And now this is absolutely like perfect example of, as the black side, what you want to do if you are up any amount of material. You want to try to put your opponent in positions to where you're forcing trades of pieces. The player is never going to just trade pieces and be like, yeah, man, I just don't want pieces, because obviously if you look at it, the math is going to not favor you. Because if you're trading pieces down, at some point you're going to run out of pieces and your opponent's going to have a piece. That's not the kind of game that you want to end up playing, is where, you know, you run out of pieces. So, you know, you want to force those positions where you're forcing pieces away from your opponent just to make the game easier for you. So we do see rook going to a7, bishop goes to d5 with check, king comes up to g4. We got rook to d4 with check, the king goes down to g3. We got rook to d2, king goes up to f4. You definitely want to try to not get your king cornered on the side of the board. That is the ideal situation for the attacking side. So you see, you know, white trying to come into the center. We got rook taking a2, king goes up to e5. We got bishop taking b3. So black is basically clearing all the white's pieces off the board. And we got king to f6, which is a very, very sneaky move. And you can get in trouble if you are not paying attention, because this is a mate threat on the board. So if you do something like, hey, man, I'm going to push this pawn because it's cool, you're not going to do that because that's checkmate. So how many times have you done this in your game? You're like, I'm so winning, and then now you're losing. Like, oh, man, no. So this is not how the game ended up. So Roderick said, hey, man, you know what? I see what you're doing. I see the sneakiness, and I'm not going to let it stand. So we do see rook to f2 with check. We got the king going down to e5. Rook goes up to f5 with check. Basically, Roderick said, okay, now you're not even going over there, bro. Like, you're going to stay here, and we're not going to have no more mate threats, dude. So we do see king going up to d6. Rook takes g5. And, I mean, you're really, like I said, you're running out of pieces if you're a 9 in this position. Like, you're like, I mean, like, where are the rest of my pieces at, bro? We got rook to a8 with check. We got king down to g7. We got king up to e7. We're really just trying to do something, but you can always check the king away if you want to. We got bishop coming up to f7, just being absolutely extra 100% safe. We do see king going down to d6. We got rook over to f5, and this is a somewhat sneaky move. You might kind of think, hey, I'm going to grab me a pawn, but you would be looking at this, and now your rook is gone, and it's even worse than you started. We got the rook down to a7. Rook goes up to f6 with check. We got king to e5, and we do have this king cut off, so now we're just going to be pushing the pawn pretty much with no resistance. We got the rook going over to b7. We got the move g4 because we're not caring about any of those pawns over there. We're caring about this pawn right here with the yellow. We got king to e4. We got h5. We do see rook going to b6. And this is absolutely not the move that you want to make, trading rooks. But Nava says, bro, if we're going to trade rooks, we're going to do it on my terms. So we do see rook to e6 with check. Rook takes e6. Bishop takes e6. In this position, like, just take the bishop out of the equation. This is an impossible in-game to win. So, like, even if you were to, like, disappear this bishop somewhere, like, you can't really even take it off the board all the way. But let's say you disappeared the bishop somewhere. You absolutely cannot hold a position where there's pawns on opposite sides of the board when it's just a king in game. So like I said, I mean, you know, you got the bishop in the game right here too. So it's like you're just all the way it's not ideal. So definitely if you can ever be in this situation where you have like completely passed pawns on opposite ends of the board, that's going to be the most easiest in game you can ever dream of. You're good to go. We got king over to f4. We got bishop to f7. We got king to g3. We got b3. Because you can do whatever you want. King to h4. b2. We got king up to g5. Pawn goes to b1 equals queen. We got king down to f4. Queen to g6. We got king down. We got queen to f6. We got king down to g2. Queen to f3 with check. I mean, you're just basically just going to be putting black and white in a box. You just have to absolutely make sure that you are not stalemating this king, and that is absolutely what white is dreaming about. You got king to h2, g3 with check. The king goes down to g1. Queen to f2 with check. We got king down to h1, and then we do see queen to h2, and this is checkmate. So this player right here, Pranav Anand, has been, I checked his account, he's been over 3,100 in blitz and bullet on chess.com, and so that's, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but that's insanely high. I don't even think I played anybody that's 3,000 before. I played a guy, I think it was 2,900 something. He's a grandmaster from Australia, Illingworth. I got him once, finally. But anyways, man, that is that game. So all of my people in the Philippines, maraming salamat, kamusta na aking mga kaibigan. Hello ulit. Let me see. What else can I say? Ingat lagi to you. Mabuting pagbati. Magandang umaga, magandang hapon, magandang araw, magandang gabi. Whatever time it is for you, where you are coming from. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Anybody who is coming from India, I will say Vanakkam to you. Maki, right? Mika Nandri. I don't know. I was getting it mixed up with I think it was not Marathi. Kannada, maybe one of them. It's Valadi Nandi, so it's just different. But anyways, I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by, and I'm going to see you guys next time.